FM. And in the studio with me this morning, Lori Rodgers from ARIN. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us. And Allison Lanzendorfer, right?
Yes, good job.
That's kind of iffy there. I sort of slurred it over because I knew I was going to mess it up. Allison Lanzendorfer from the Penn State Extension.
Yes.
Good to have you both with us today as we talk about a neat little partnership, Lori. This is nice. ARIN, the Extension, getting together, and we're talking about STEM education.
That's correct. We are going to host together a STEM camp for students ages 8 to 12 over the next 3 days. So it's coming up this week, and we're pretty excited. We have 30 students signed up, and we'll be hosting in Blairsville at a church. Presbyterian Church has opened their doors for us.
Oh, nice.
Originally, we had planned to host at ARIN, but we have some construction going on there. So we had to kind of last minute move on to a new location.
Well, see, you could have adapted the courses for the construction there. There's probably some STEM applications there.
There's no doubt in my mind, but I think the parents would have not been real happy.
Maybe sign some extra waivers.
Yeah.
Buy them some steel-toed boots and a hard hat, and
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
fine. They're fine and good to go.
Right.
But STEM education, of course, STEM education is something that is very, very important and getting more important every day, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah, I think that just as we grow as a society and everything is starting to be way more involved in technology and engineering, and I think that's what's really exciting about 4-H, the program that kind of, when you think about it, you think of like farming and really rural things, and they're starting to reach out and branch more into the STEM and the engineering things because it affects everything, you know, it's in everything that we do now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, as somebody who lives in a farm environment, I can tell you there's a whole lot of science and a whole lot of technology people would never understand.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
In agriculture. Yeah, it's all about it. Chemistry, everything, right down the line. It's just amazing. So how does it work out? What are the kids going to be doing? When are they going to be gathering? And I guess the next 3 days, starting today?
3 days,
Yes.
starting tomorrow. They'll be there from 8 to 4. And we have all kinds of STEM activities planned. We kind of have a theme with some agriculture we've woven into it. But we'll be working with some coding and doing physical computing with robots that we will be bringing to the location. Things like Ozobots, Spheros, hummingbirds. We'll also be doing some inventing with makey-makeys. So a lot of hands-on activities.
Makey-makeys?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are makey-makeys? They sound like something you get at a luau.
You could probably make something that would work at a luau.
It's just kind of an extension of a keyboard of a computer that you can add items to it, along with some coding, block coding, that students are really easily pick up on block coding, and they're able to have the computer become an extension, and they create a lot of switches and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can do use bananas and make a keyboard.
The banana piano is like the famous thing.
Yeah, you can do Play-Doh bongos.
Banana piano.
The banana piano.
Banana piano.
That's really popular amongst the kids. So.
Yeah. Allison, you said a couple of moments ago about the hummingbird. Now, I have seen this thing in action.
Yes. I just picked it up last week to try to look at it, and it was very overwhelming at first. Because you actually have to build the robot, and then so that in and of itself, you're putting together pieces and components and making sure it's wired positive to negatives correctly, and then after all that, you have to sit down and code the machine to make that work. So it's just a ton of problem solving and making sure you're following directions, and then using your own creativity to make it do what it wants to do.
So who are the instructors? How are you doing that?
Well, I'm an instructor,
and
Allison
I'll
will
be there,
and
there's 2 other people that are going to be there from the 4-H Extension office. So my educator for Indiana County, and then the summer STEM coordinator is going to be there as well.
And where did the kids come from? Where did you find them?
Well, we put out flyers and advertisement, and families signed up that way.
Just quit and probably right away too.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah. And people just the other day actually were still like, "Can we come to camp?" You know, because it's a nice summer activity to kind of keep them busy, keep their minds active.
We did have to increase it a bit because originally we set it for 25 students, but we're like, okay, let's up it to 30 so we can get everybody in there.
Yeah, yeah. And I would guess that with the program having success this week, you had to increase the capacity.
Yes.
That in the future, that bodes well, doesn't it?
Right. I look forward to planning for next year for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Because we run things like this throughout the year with students.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just nice to have things like this available in the summertime.
Yeah. Yeah, Mom and Dad appreciate it very much.
Definitely. Take their kids from 8 to 4. They're like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and you know, one of the great things about it is you think of the kids in the summertime, and we as adults probably look at the kids and say, well, when we were kids, we were out playing sports and we were doing things out of doors. Now kids today, all they do is sit around and play video games. This actually puts them, you know, on the other side of the video game argument because they're actually creating the technology that eventually, you know, might make its way into video games, but has a much more complex and a wider application in terms of where they're going with their lives. You know, this might set them on a course that they would never have been on.
That's so for sure. And there's such a shortage now of people that are doing programming. There's so many jobs out there that are available right now that if we get that spark going now, hopefully it will continue on with them and they'll have jobs.
And growing up, I think doing it too, like their mindset is completely different than ours to where, like, you know, the hummingbird, I got it out and I'm trying to put it together and I'm like confused about stuff. And I was like, you know, I know when I take it to camp and I show it to them, it's going to take them 5 minutes to figure out what took me so long. And I think that that's so important that, like, they're just growing up with this education that's going to take them so much further than, you know, we've ever had.
Now, Allison, you're younger than Lori. Lori, you're probably younger than me. So we're thinking from our generation, you know, that it would be very, very difficult for someone of our age to just sit down and pick up on this. Why do kids with their backgrounds seem to take so well to this?
I think honestly it's probably just they've grown up with it. You know, I mean, kids nowadays can pick up a phone and take a selfie or go on YouTube. My 5-year-old nephew knows exactly how to navigate YouTube. And I think it's just, you know, when we grew up, we learned more about, you know, going outside, doing sports, doing this, whatever. And they're just, it's like a second language that they've learned that maybe we didn't have as much access to.
Yeah. And it really is amazing how adaptable a kid's brain is.
Right.
I think my brain's pretty well set.
Yeah.
And it's receding while theirs are growing. Their skills and their talents, and that's what this is all about. So we only have a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to ask you, how was it that the two of you, as organizations, were able to get together? Because we might not think that Extension and ARIN Intermediate Unit would have a connection, but obviously you do.
Well, I met one of the folks from the Penn State Extension, Stacy Ritz. And I don't know how she comes to the intermediate unit to some meetings with the community action group and things like that, and we just connected somehow and started talking about, you know, she told me last year she started a STEM camp, and I was like, ooh, we need to do STEM camp. Maybe we could do this together, and that's really how this venture started. Yeah,
that's interesting. The number of people that come through ARIN's front doors.
It's really amazing. It's a very busy place.
It really is, and I can see where something like that would happen. That's
definitely
tremendous. That's tremendous. Well, we wish you the best with it, and keep us up to date. We want to learn more when you have programs such as this that you know, combine two agencies such as yours, but also, you know, have that element of reaching out to help to educate young people and adults, because you're both involved in both the young and old.
Right.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate it. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM, 3 minutes away from the top of the hour. Fox News coming at 9.